virtues and our failings are inseparable, like force and matter. When they separate, man is no more. Wise words, but do you know who said it? That's because these words were spoken by a man who faded into obscurity, a man whose fame and fortune was overshadowed by the success of his rival, but most importantly, a man who uncovered some of the world's greatest innovations. As a boy, Nikola Tesla studied electrical and mechanical engineering. Like the minds of Aristotle, Newton, and Da Vinci, Tesla was driven by ingenuity. And then one day, a breakthrough. Tesla wandered in a park at dusk. As he watched the sun fade, he was reminded of a passage he had once read. The glow retreats. Done is the day of toil. It yonder hastes. New fields of life exploring. Ah, that no wing can lift me from the soil. Upon its track to follow, soaring. These words sparked a moment of clarity. History changed in a second. Modern electricity was born. The conclusion Tesla drew became the foundation for alternating current, the way electrical systems work today. But revolutionary ideas are often met with opposition. Thomas Edison was a famous inventor, and he had his own ideas about electricity. He also knew how to exploit them. Like Tesla, Edison understood how electricity could change the world. So it seems only natural the two would meet. 1884, the year Tesla came to America to work for Edison. Tesla arrived with a letter of recommendation from one of Edison's former employees that read, "I know of two great men. You are one of them. The other is this young man." But soon after this introduction, their relationship took a dark turn. Edison's inventions, like the light bulb, used direct current, in contrast to Tesla's more efficient alternating current. But patents put price tags on ideas, and sometimes ethics are sacrificed for the sake of profit. Their clash in theories, along with business disputes, forced Tesla to dissolve his ties with Edison. He continued to develop alternating current technology, but popularizing AC power meant financial loss for Edison, who'd stop at nothing to save his empire. Slanted media coverage, technological sabotage, and sadistic experiments. Edison shocked the world by demonizing Tesla's technology with atrocities, setting the stage for a ruthless competition called the War of Currents, where they battled in their pursuit to power the world. Edison wanted Tesla to fade away into obscurity, but Tesla fought back the only way he could, with his imagination. Engineering ideas behind the radio, radar, X-rays, hydroelectricity, cryogenics, transistors, radio waves, remote control, wireless communications, earthquake machines, and the death ray! But what were these ideas worth if you couldn't commercialize them like Edison did? People wanted light bulbs, vacuums, toasters. The death ray isn't exactly a household item. His theories were mocked, and there's a fine line between brilliance and insanity. Tesla continued to develop some of the world's greatest scientific advances, but he spent years struggling to support himself. He retreated from society and began conducting bizarre experiments in his hotel room, earning him the reputation of a mad scientist. Legend has it that after his death, government agencies seized Tesla's papers outlining the plans behind his death ray. And while alternating current became his signature contribution to the scientific world, for many years his work went virtually unrecognized, discredited by the public because of his reclusive lifestyle and advanced ideas. But now his name lives on, kept alive by a community of scientists and engineers who ignored his critics and realized his true genius.
Leonardo da Vinci presented by Folklorist on Grade 4, Williams School. Leonardo da Vinci was born on April 15, 1452. He was a painter, a sculptor, architect, musician, a scientist, mathematician, engineer, inventor, a cartographer, a botanist, and a writer. Although Leo painted about 13 paintings, only 10 were recovered. He also tried to invent many things, including a flying machine and a tank. His notebook was famous because he wrote backwards. Did you know he actually cut open dead humans to study them? I'm really telling the truth.
There's more to come on The Folklorist.
NewTV's original program, The Folklorist, has just won its second Emmy Award. Congratulations to John Horrigan for his win in the Program Host Moderator category. And congratulations to the production team and cast for creating a captivating and inspiring program.
Hello, friend. Welcome to The Folklorist.
The Folklorist, only on NewTV.
Did you know, in 1915 there was a rumor that both Tesla and Edison would be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in Physics. When both men heard this, they allegedly refused to accept the award due to their contempt for each other. You might be wondering who Kilroy is. This mysterious drawing became an iconic American expression that spread across Europe and the Pacific during World War II. And it represented confusion, humor, and even hope. The legend begins in the early 1940s at a shipyard in Quincy, Massachusetts, where warships were in mass production. It was James Kilroy's job to tally and record the number of rivets inserted into each section of the ship's hulls. As the laborers were paid by the amount of rivets they inserted, James would meticulously count them and put a chalk mark next to each block that he inspected. This was to ensure that the rivets were not double counted. But some men would erase the chalk marks, hoping they would be counted a second time by another inspector, which would result in double pay. After receiving a tip from his supervisor, James soon caught on to their deception. He continued to mark the completed sections with his chalk, but added the inscription, "Kilroy was here," along with an image of a bald, long-nosed chap peering over a fence. This let the riveters know that he was watching them. James's new method had worked, and the duplicity was halted. As pressure mounted to get ships out of the yard and into action, many were left unpainted, but Kilroy Was Here was still visible on the ship's interior walls, and it could be seen by thousands of men aboard the vessels. Soon it became a popular calling card, as troops began to scribble it on walls, rubble, and machinery. Wherever they were deployed, Kilroy was there. Some say after learning of the graffiti, Hitler thought that Kilroy was an American super spy. And it was also rumored at the Potsdam Conference that Russian leader Joseph Stalin emerged from a newly constructed outhouse and asked, "Who is Kilroy?" By the time the war ended, Kilroy Was Here could be seen scribbled in some of the most unlikely places. Legend has it that Kilroy is etched on the Arc de Triomphe, the Statue of Liberty, the top of Mount Everest, and even in the dust on the moon. By war's end, Kilroy had become a heroic GI and a rallying symbol for the American war effort. Whenever the slogan was viewed by soldiers, their morale seemed to be heightened. Kilroy, inadvertently, may have contributed to the Allied victory and lives on today as folklore. Did you know, in 1946, a popular radio program offered the prize of a trolley car to the person who could prove that they were the real Kilroy. James Kilroy put his prize in the yard of his home for his children to use as a playhouse. Is there some folklore in your town? Well, let us know about it. Send us an email, folklorist@newtv.org. We'd love to hear about it. War not only affects the people fighting it, but also those who are surrounded by it. If you were a civilian caught in the middle of a conflict, Which side would you choose? For one wealthy landowner, the choice would be too difficult, as he found himself torn between two allegiances, the British Army and an angry colonial mob. It's just weeks after the Battle of Concord and Lexington, on the morning of May 21st, 1775. And the second act of the American Revolution was about to begin. Elisha Levitt, a wealthy farmer from Hingham, Massachusetts, owned some property in Boston Harbor, and among them was Grape Island. Still one of King George's subjects, he felt obligated to offer provisions to the British Army. However, when the British landed on Grape Island to collect hay for their horses, an alarm was sounded, as many feared that an attack was imminent. Even Abigail Adams was caught up in the hysteria as she heard the sound of bells ringing and watched the panic unfold as militiamen took up their arms and rushed to the shore. But when they arrived at Weymouth Neck, they were surprised to see a small British fleet descending on Grape Island, and they were unable to cross the channel to attack the British. Instead, they exchanged fire with no effect as their musket balls fell short. They watched in frustration as the British loaded their ships with large amounts of hay. When the tide finally rose, the Patriots jumped in their boats and landed on Grape Island, but the British were already gone. They set Levitt's barn ablaze, burning over 70 tons of hay, and seized his cattle. But they weren't finished yet. Taking up muskets, pikes, and pitchforks, they made a hurried march to Levitt's home to make it clear that they would not tolerate his blatant support of the British. Tar and feather the Tory! Burn his house down! Hang the traitor! Levitt saw the militia heading straight for his home. They're coming for my head! He had to think fast, and in that moment, he noticed a barrel of rum, bottles of wine, bread, and a wheel of cheese. Suddenly, they were on his doorstep, and Mrs. Levitt welcomed them in, offering them food and spirits as a gesture of goodwill. The mob was now confused. After all, provisions were hard to come by, and a full stomach was something to take advantage of. So with that, their anger subsided, and the threat of violence was drowned in good cheer. Elisha Levitt's home and life were spared. For the time being, Elisha Levitt didn't have to take a side. And although the American Revolution was far from over, his quick thinking diffused a tense situation after the bells rang for the Grape Island Alarm. Disclaimer: with folklore, sometimes the biggest casualty is fact. But please, keep watching. Did you know that the wildlife on Little Grape Island includes deer, muskrat, coyotes, rabbits, and a wide variety of birds? Although grapes are rare on the island, you might be greeted at the dock by a friendly red fox. What's the weather going to be like today? You look outside the window. The sun is out, not a cloud in the sky. But you heard the weather report, and you know it's going to rain. So you grab an umbrella and head out for your day. But back in 1938, when New England's last great hurricane struck, nobody was prepared because nobody was warned. It's mid-September, 1938. At the U.S. Weather Bureau, young Charlie Pierce is filling in for two vacationing meteorologists. He's mulling over the weather data he received on the monster hurricane that's sitting off the coast of the Bahamas. It's situated between two high-pressure systems. But something's just not right. This hurricane isn't going to blow out to the sea. It's going to head north and strike the vulnerable New England coastline. This could be bad. He calls over veteran meteorologist Charles Mitchell, who ignores his warnings. The current storm is weakening and will be blown out to sea. But the monster hurricane was moving north at an incredible 67 miles per hour, covering an unheard of 700 miles in just 12 hours. This was a monster. In West Hampton, New York, a man walks into a post office with his new barometer. He wants to return it. It's broken. He can't be reading this. In Old Saybrook, Connecticut, actress Katharine Hepburn has just auditioned for a major film role. she's out celebrating with a round of golf. On the 9th hole, she scores a hole-in-one. She turns to her boyfriend, Red Hammond, and says, "I think something very special is going to happen today." In Long Mountain Pond, something strange is going on. Beavers are working furiously, dragging sticks, sod, mud, anything they can get their little mitts on. They're building dams. The people look on curiously. In New Bedford, Massachusetts, a wily old fisherman is returning to the harbor, but he just went out a few hours ago. "I ain't going out there. I feel it in my bones. A big storm is coming." At 3:30 p.m., a radio station in New York broadcast,
"The West Indies hurricane is in the mid-Atlantic and will move out to sea."
People thought they were safe, but in reality, the storm was right on top of them. By late in the afternoon, the beautiful September day was over. The hurricane had arrived. They called it the Long Island Express, and it slammed into the New York coastline with a 30-foot storm surge. It dislodged boats, and people's homes were flooded. The winds were so strong. Roofs were being blown off of houses. Geese were flying backwards at 40 miles per hour. People were having their clothes blown right off them. The hurricane raced across Long Island Sound and crashed into Connecticut. The river in Hartford rose 4 inches every hour. In New London, not only did they have to contend with the wind and the flooding, but there was a major inferno that had engulfed the city, and no one could put it out. New Bedford, Massachusetts got walloped. Fishing fleets were destroyed as boats were hurled miles inland. This was a gigantic storm. The waves pounding the shoreline were measured on seismographs in Sitka, Alaska. Sea spray was hitting the homes of Montpelier, Vermont, 125 miles away from the ocean. And on top of the Great Blue Hill in Milton, Massachusetts, a gust was measured at over 185 miles per hour. And just as quickly and violently it had struck, suddenly, it was over. It was time to assess the damage. Over 2 billion trees had fallen, 35,000 automobiles destroyed, 9,000 boats lost, and 700 people gave their lives to the Great Hurricane of 1938. Charlie Pierce may have predicted that the hurricane would strike the Northeast, but no one could have foreseen the massive destruction. The dams the beavers built at various ponds saved roads and highways that were used for evacuation. Coastal communities like New Bedford took years to recover and develop protective measures like seawalls, breakers, and limiting construction on the shoreline. Over time, advances in forecasting technology have helped us predict weather with greater accuracy, saving countless lives. But as the old saying goes, if you don't like the weather in New England, just wait a few minutes. Did you know that the day before the hurricane of 1938, a Long Island poultry farmer tagged his chickens? Following the fierce storm, one of his featherless hens was found all the way in Connecticut.
Hi, I'm Folklorist Patrick. This is the story of Muhammad Ali.
I'm a bad man!
Muhammad Ali was a very famous boxer. His famous quote, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee," was known all around the world. He beat Joe Frazier, he beat George Foreman, and he beat Sonny Liston. He was a 3-time heavyweight boxing champion, and after he retired from boxing, he dedicated his life to bring peace to the world. I shot the world!
The Chronicles of Humanity, with its triumphs, tragedies, and compelling personal experiences. This is who we were, who we are, and who we aspire to be. We are the Folklorists, and this is the new history. Until next time.
NewTV's original program, The Folklorist, has just won its second Emmy Award. Congratulations to John Horrigan for his win in the program Host Moderator category. And congratulations to the production team and cast for creating a captivating and inspiring program.
Hello, friend. Welcome to The Folklorist.
The Folklorist, only on NewTV.